The night was heavy with rain. Sirens cut through the darkness like blades. Somewhere beyond the prison walls, a man was already running for his life. George, a name whispered in police radios. A professional bank robber, locked away for 7 long years. Tonight he was free again. The escape wasn't clean. Floodlights caught him in flashes. Guards shouted. Bullets cracked the air. George sprinted through the mud, breath sharp, eyes burning with determination. He leapt the outer fence, landing hard. That's when fate twisted the story. A black SUV skidded across the road, blocking his path. The door swung open. A woman stepped out, weapon raised, steady and cold. Federal Marshal. On your knees. George froze. Not because of the gun. Because of her. Jennifer. Eyes sharp as glass, voice that didn't shake. The rain poured harder. His mind raced. He lunged. Fast. Reckless. The gun slipped from her grip. In seconds, George had her pinned against the hood. Bad night for you, Marshal. Her jaw tightened. Defiant even in danger. You won't make it 2 miles. George smirked, pressing the cold barrel of her own gun against her shoulder. Then you're coming with me. The sirens were closing in. Red and blue lights flickered through the storm. George dragged Jennifer toward the woods, her badge glinting under the rain. And just like that, the hunter became the hostage. But neither of them knew this was only the beginning. The forest swallowed them whole. Branches snapped under their boots. Sirens faded into the distance, but the rain never stopped. Jennifer's hands were tied, wrists burning against the rope. She walked fast, refusing to stumble. Her voice was sharp, cutting through the storm. You think dragging me out here makes you safe? George chuckled under his breath. Safe? No, just alive. The darkness around them was thick, alive with the hum of insects and the crackle of thunder. George pushed her forward, but not roughly, almost careful. You're making a mistake, she whispered. Sweetheart, mistakes put me behind bars. This is survival. They stopped under a rotting cabin hidden in the trees. George forced the door open with his shoulder. Inside, shadows stretched across broken furniture and dust. Jennifer sat on a chair, her eyes never leaving him. He lit a cigarette, hands steady, eyes tired but still burning with something wild. You don't look like a killer, she said. He smirked. And you don't look like a marshal. For a moment, silence. Just the rain on the roof. Their eyes locked, a strange current pulling them closer even with the ropes, the gun, the law between them. Then, tires screeched outside. Headlights cut through the cracks of the cabin. George's jaw tightened. Damn, they found us. Jennifer leaned forward, her voice low. You better run, George, because I'm not going to save you. The door handle rattled. Shouts echoed in the rain, and the first shot exploded through the night. The cabin walls shook with gunfire. Splinters flew as bullets tore through the rotten wood. George hit the ground, dragging Jennifer down with him. Stay low, he hissed. She glared at him, voice sharp. Why? So you don't get shot? Another round punched through the window. Glass rained across the floor. George fired back, quick bursts into the night. Shouts came from the trees, more than 2 men, maybe 4. They're not cops, he muttered. Jennifer's eyes narrowed. Then who the hell? The door blasted open. A masked man stormed in, shotgun raised. George moved first. 1 shot. The man dropped, body crashing against the floorboards. Jennifer's heart pounded. George grabbed her arm, pulled her toward the back door. Time to go. They ran into the storm, mud splashing underfoot. Flashlights cut through the darkness, beams sweeping. The forest echoed with voices. Find him. Don't let him slip. George shoved Jennifer against a tree, hand over her mouth, breath hot against her ear. Quiet, Marshal. Unless you want to die out here with me. Her pulse hammered, but she didn't fight. His hand trembled for a second, then he let go. The rain thinned, but the night grew louder. More men closed in. Whoever they were, they wanted George dead. Jennifer whispered, almost to herself, "Looks like you've got enemies on both sides." George smirked through the shadows, gun in hand. "Story of my life." And then, another voice boomed through the forest. Cold, ruthless. "George, we know you're out here. Give us the Marshal and maybe we let you live." Jennifer froze. George's smile faded. Whoever was hunting them knew her name. The forest was alive with voices. Flashlights cut through the trees, searching, hunting. Jennifer's breath steamed in the cold night as George crouched low beside her. "Who are they?" she whispered. "Old friends," he muttered. "The kind that don't forgive." A shadow moved. Too close. George didn't hesitate. He slipped behind the man, arm around his throat, knife flashing in the rain. One brutal twist. The body dropped silently into the mud. Jennifer's eyes widened. "You didn't have to." "He would have done worse to you," George snapped. His voice was calm, but his eyes burned. Shouts erupted. Someone had heard the struggle. Gunfire lit up the night again. Trees splintering, bark exploding. George pulled Jennifer down, pressing her into the wet earth. Bullets hissed overhead. "You still think I'm the monster?" he asked through gritted teeth. Jennifer glared at him, her voice low and steady. "I think you just proved me right." George fired back, each shot precise, controlled. One man screamed, falling hard. The others scattered, but they were closing in, circling like wolves. Thunder cracked. Rain poured harder. The world shrank to shadows and flashes of muzzle fire. Jennifer grabbed a fallen pistol from the ground, her hands steady despite the cuffs. She raised it toward George. For a second, their eyes locked. Would she shoot him? Then a figure lunged out of the dark, rifle raised. Instinct took over. Jennifer fired. The man collapsed at her feet, blood mixing with the rain. Silence. For a moment, only silence. She stared at the smoking gun in her hands. Her first kill. George's lips curled into a strange smile. "Guess the Marshal's not so different from me after all." But before she could answer, headlights flared through the trees. More cars. More men. Too many this time. George's face hardened. "We're out of time." Engines roared in the distance. Headlights carved through the forest, beams bouncing off wet leaves. Dozens of men were closing in. George grabbed Jennifer's wrist, pulling her into motion. "Move, now." Gunfire ripped through the trees. Branches exploded. Dirt kicked up around their boots. George fired back, quick bursts, but there were too many. They dove behind a fallen log. Bullets chewed the wood apart. Jennifer pressed her back against the bark, chest heaving. "This is insane. Who are these people?" George's jaw clenched. "People I used to run with. People who think I owe them." The gunfire paused. Silence. Then the crunch of footsteps, slow and deliberate. Voices in the dark. "He's trapped. Kill the girl first. Make him watch. Jennifer's heart slammed in her chest. She looked at George, but his face was stone. He slid a fresh magazine into his gun, eyes cold. They're not walking out of here. The forest erupted again. George rose from cover, firing with deadly precision. 2 men dropped instantly. Jennifer joined him, pistol steady in her hands now. She hit one in the shoulder, another in the leg. The screams mixed with thunder. Chaos. 1 man charged through the smoke, machete raised. Jennifer pulled the trigger. Click. Empty. She stumbled back as the blade swung. George appeared out of nowhere, grabbing the attacker, slamming the knife into his chest. Blood sprayed across the rain-soaked leaves. Jennifer's breath trembled. George grabbed her hand. No time for fear. Run. They broke through the tree-line, sprinting downhill. Behind them, more voices, more engines. The forest lit up like a war zone. At the bottom of the hill, an old road. Abandoned. Almost. A rusted pickup sat with its lights off, engine idling. George froze. That's not ours. The driver's door opened. A tall figure stepped out, face hidden in the dark. The men in the forest stopped shooting. Jennifer's blood went cold. Whoever this man was, he was the one in charge. The figure spoke, calm and deep. George, hand over the marshal, or neither of you leave alive. Rain hammered the road. The headlights glared against the wet asphalt. The tall figure stepped closer, face sliding out of the shadows. A scar across his jaw. Eyes like ice. George's chest tightened. Victor. Jennifer glanced at him. You know him? George's voice was low, bitter. Used to. We pulled jobs together. Before he decided bullets were cheaper than loyalty. Victor smirked, his voice calm, cutting. You always had a way with words, George, but you still don't know when to shut up. The men in the forest lowered their weapons slightly, waiting for his command. Victor's eyes shifted to Jennifer. A marshal, huh? Figures you'd crawl out of prison and drag the law with you. Always chasing trouble. George raised his gun, steady despite the rain. She's not yours to touch. Victor laughed. Not mine? George, everything out here is mine. You owe me blood. You owe me money. And tonight I'm collecting both. Jennifer stepped forward, her voice sharp. Why? What the hell do you want from him? Victor's gaze burned into George. The same thing I've always wanted. The last score we never finished. George's jaw tightened. He knew exactly what Victor meant. The job that went wrong. The betrayal that landed him in prison. Jennifer saw it in his eyes. There was history here, thick with hate. Victor raised a hand. His men leveled their guns again. Last chance, brother. Give me the marshal and maybe I let you crawl away. George pulled Jennifer closer, his gun pressed to Victor now. You'll have to kill me first. Victor's smile faded. The air went dead silent. And then his hand dropped. Fine. Dozens of rifles clicked in the dark. The ambush was seconds from exploding. The world held its breath. Victor's hand cut through the rain. Kill them both. Gunfire exploded like thunder. Bullets shredded the air, sparks flying from the pickup. George yanked Jennifer behind the truck, metal rattling as rounds slammed into the door. Stay down, he shouted. Jennifer's pulse roared in her ears. She raised her pistol, firing back between the wheel and the mud. A man dropped screaming. Another staggered into the ditch. George moved like a machine, leaning out 2 clean shots, reloading fast, sliding to cover. Blood sprayed across the asphalt as Victor's men fell one by one. But there were too many. Grenade. The blast tore the road apart, fire raining down. The pickup flipped onto its side, nearly crushing them. Jennifer coughed through the smoke, ears ringing. She felt George's hand grab hers, pulling her up. His eyes were wild now, alive with fury. "We fight through or we die here." They pushed forward, side by side, ducking, firing, moving as one. Jennifer shot a man point blank, her hands steady now. George slammed another into the pavement, knife flashing crimson. Bodies littered the road. Screams echoed into the storm. Through the smoke, Victor walked calmly, shotgun in hand. Not rushing, not hiding, watching. George spotted him, raised his gun. Click. Empty. Victor's smile widened. 7 years in a cage, and you still choke when it matters. He leveled the shotgun at George's chest. Jennifer stepped forward, her pistol raised, her voice steady. "Drop it." Victor froze. His eyes flicked between her and George. The storm howled, and for the first time, Victor laughed. "You've got a choice, Marshal. Pull that trigger or watch him die." The rain fell heavier, drowning the silence. Jennifer's finger tightened on the trigger. Her choice would decide everything. The rain poured like the sky itself was watching. Victor stood tall, shotgun aimed at George's chest. Jennifer's pistol never wavered, finger resting on the trigger. Her heart pounded. Her mind screamed duty, but something deeper, something raw, pulled her the other way. George's voice was calm, even in the face of death. "Don't waste your life on me, Marshal." Victor smirked, eyes glinting. "She won't. She's law, and law always wins." Jennifer's breath caught. She saw George. Not the criminal, not the fugitive, but the man who had saved her life in the woods, who fought with her, not against her. Her hand trembled, then stilled. Bang. Victor staggered back, eyes wide. The shotgun slipped from his grip. He fell hard onto the wet asphalt, blood spreading like ink in the rain. Silence. Only thunder. George stared at Jennifer. Shock. Relief. Something else he couldn't name. "You chose." Her voice broke, but it was steady. "I chose survival." The headlights behind Victor flickered, sirens now. Red and blue flashing through the storm. Dozens of squad cars poured onto the road. Jennifer lowered her gun slowly. "They'll kill you if you don't run." George smirked, even bleeding, even hunted. "Running's the only thing I've ever been good at." Their eyes locked one last time. No words, just the weight of everything unsaid. Then George vanished into the treeline, swallowed by the storm. Jennifer stood alone on the road, gun still warm in her hands, Victor's body at her feet, and sirens screaming closer. The story of the law and the outlaw wasn't over. It had only just begun.